flickering at Luthuli House. The treasure is quiet as a church mouse. Got a stack of invoices on the floor. Creditors banging on the black and green door. The kids are crying, the fridge is bare. There's a tension hanging in the stale office air. We don't want a banquet, we don't want a spree. Everybody just wants a bucket of KFC. It's a flashback, a rerun, a glitch in the screen. We've been here before, if you know what I mean. 18 months, we waited in line, running on empty, losing our minds. Now the election bills are overdue, and the party planners are coming for you. Working without compensation, it's a payroll disintegration. How can we trust you with the state of the nation when you can't meet a simple obligation? Working without compensation, total financial stagnation. You wanna run the country, you wanna lead the way, but you can't find the cash at the end of the day. Hard-working staff left out in the cold. Stories of funding that never got told. Did the wire transfer get stuck in the sand? Did Tehran run out of money on the man? Pick up the hotline, make a dash, go ask the BRICS countries for a little bit of cash. It's a bad habit, breaking the trust, turning the legacy into dust. 18 months was a lesson learned, but the bridge is already being burned. Working without compensation, it's a payroll disintegration. How can we trust you with the state of the nation when you can't meet a simple obligation? Working without compensation, total financial stagnation. They talk about policy, they talk about the land, they talk about taking what is in your hand. Look on the bright side, through the frustration. At least it is not yet. Expropriation without compensation. Working without compensation, it's a payroll disintegration. How can we trust you with the state of the nation when you can't meet a simple obligation? Working without compensation. Just want a KFC. Kids are hungry. Where is the money? Did Tehran run out? Working without compensation.
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. Folks, welcome back to the program. Chris, live in central Pennsylvania. 2020. Yep, just checking the sound level there. So the video I just released, if you just watch it, wasn't about the Sunnyside Prowler, the Sunnyside detective turned journalist. No, that was about the Ferraya who has slandered me repeatedly in the past on Facebook. And yeah, so that's the latest on that. That's where that came from. So once again, I just put a link there. Professor G saw my video and he got a bunch of questions because of it. I don't know why people don't ask me the questions, why they go to him. I don't get that. Why do people come to my channel, watch the videos, and then go ask him questions? Because you bombard him with the questions, you know. I don't think come in the chat here and ask the questions. But anyway, so he's already put a video up. I got about halfway through it. It's a pretty good video. And it doesn't refute what I said. I mean, what I said is solid. It's factual. I did hear him say that this, and I'm like, whoa, wait a second. He wasn't talking about my comment. He was talking about the fee for the EAD. Yeah, because I never talked about the fee. Anyway, look, there's just content grifters, man. But anyway, you know, that song was about the ANC staff working without compensation, working. Anyway, that's what that was all about. But I just realized that I've been working without compensation most of this year. And Arctic and Maze and a bunch and Will's a bunch of people have been working, moderators and we've been working without compensation to help people through this year. So now, guys, I got to tell you something here. I cracked open a bottle of a Frappuccino here, and I was going to drink this because I didn't want to drink iced tea again. I didn't want a Coke, and I was tempted to drink this. It's already, seal's broken. See, I already opened it. But then I felt guilty. I felt guilty because Arctic would be frustrated or maybe annoyed. And so I haven't touched it. It's sitting here. I want to drink it, but I'm like, you know, I didn't have a real desire for it. It was just a habit, you know? And so I put it back down. I mean, that doesn't mean I won't drink it during this broadcast, but it's there. Cash and transit ice earlier today, 4 blocks from my work. Uitenhage, that's in PE. I was in Uitenhage. I was downtown Uitenhage. I know exactly what you're talking about. Wow. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. O'Neill says Frappuccino time. Yay, yeah. ANC's committee meeting was very irritating, not pressing white supremacy. And yeah, I'll be making a video on that. It's just I had to make the other video first, so I didn't have time. Also, this morning, I've been up since 4 o'clock. I went to bed at 2:30. Really fell asleep at 3, got up at 4:30, and then at 5 o'clock I was live broadcasting on the Truth Report, and then I did an interview of an Iranian South African, Iranian origin South African, an economist, at 8 o'clock my time, which was 3 hours ago. And since then, I've been busy dealing with refugee stuff. There's a refugee family that's located in a part of the country. They feel they're in a dodgy neighborhood. The problem is it's on the West Coast, and I can't call those people this hour because the people won't be up, so I have to wait to deal with that. Also took care of a few other things for people, and I pulled some stuff out. Thank you, Mustard Olive. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Will's Arctic is not here, but he'll never know. Dirk Coetzee will tell on me. Chris Myberg enjoyed the discussion on Truth Report. Well, thank you for that, Chris. Good to see you again. I thought you got mad at me and left. Maybe I'm confusing with someone else. Greed, incompetence, corruption, criminality, threat, and Southern sovereignty really taught. Zuma is the worst, but you thought, but Pinocchio. Yeah, no, Ramaphosa is the worst president South Africa's ever had. Even worse than apartheid. Let's catch up with you. So, a programming announcement on Friday. Initially, I was going, it's 11:11. 11:11. I was initially going to have my regular stream on Friday, but I have an appointment that I have to go to. And then I just figured I won't do any stream, but then I thought maybe I'll just do an early stream. And then I'll surprise you while I'm on the road. So anyway, so what do you think? So I'll probably do an early stream on Friday before I hit the road. I've got to drive somewhere on Friday. Got some stuff going on Friday. So, yeah. Really good live stream with the new proposed apartheid BS bill. You robbed the boys. Okay, thank you, Bull Refugee. I'm glad you found that interesting. Yeah, we do get on fine. Although I don't know why Byron has to take digs at me on his program, and I don't really lose any sleep over it. But he was apparently angry at me, I guess, because he didn't respond to me for a while. But I didn't make a big deal about it. I never did anything to him. So I think some viewers on my channel pissed him off, and it kind of damaged things for a while. But I mean, I didn't let it bother me. I mean, last night I had someone who's been volunteering And last week we had a meeting, and that person was a meeting, but then was a subsequent meeting, which the people were volunteering to help out. They were coordinating things. So I sat down with them. They presented the plan that this person had worked on. And I said, yeah, could you just have, because we're allowing that person who's not an employee to update our social media page, Facebook. So I just said to him, I said, just ask her to, send me copies of this stuff before she posts it, just so I can look at it. So she's covered. That way you can say that, that the leadership of the organization saw it. It wasn't just posted out of hand. And the intent was just to protect that person, because I get constant belly aching. So then I got a nasty email message a little bit later on saying, well, look, take me off of social media after this event. I'm not going to do this anymore. I plan things out. I can't have all these changes. I'm like, what changes? What are you talking about? You doing changes? Well, this approval. Why do I have to have approval? I said, you're missing the point. People are always complaining. I'm just trying to protect you and protect the organization. That's all. I don't have a problem with it. Did I tell you anything you posted was wrong or incorrect or inappropriate? No. That's why I gave you access. Anyway, so the person wrote back to me and said, well, this, that, and the other. And I said, listen, you have no idea. People complain about everything and make stuff up. And if I have an answer for them, most times they just drop it and move on. But I mean, if I don't have an answer, then they run around, they run their mouth, they spread rumors like the Jersey Shore and Peyton Place, and it all becomes this whole big thing that's nothing. So anyway, so I don't know what the status of that person is who offered help, because their feelings were hurt, and there's no reason for feelings to be hurt, because I was simply protecting them. So I wrote back and said, listen, I said, look, if me asking to see these things before you publish them in an effort to protect you from people, making a big stink about things, if that's a problem, then sorry about that. Then best of luck. Thank you for the work you've done so far. It's been very helpful. Appreciate it. Merry Christmas. That's kind of how I left it. Anyway. Thank you, Bonnie Duplessis. How I understand your previous data, for refugee applies for permanent residence, it won't affect him. No, it doesn't apply. No. You have to have a green card. If you don't have a green card, you don't have permanent residency. You don't have work authorization, unless you have work authorization document, EAD. EADs now are no longer valid for 5 years for refugees. They're valid for 18 months, effective 5 December. If you get an EAD after 5 December 2025, as a refugee or an asylum, person granted asylum, or in a whole host of other categories, that is valid for 18 months from the date that it's issued. So let's say you apply on the 5th of December, you get it January 5th. So from January 5th until July 5th or thereabouts of the next year, it'll be valid. Now, what Professor G was addressing, and I don't know the answer to this because I don't deal with these EADs, so I mean, and I don't really care about them, to be honest. He was addressing about whether you pay for it or not, and he said no. And I'm like, wait a second, I thought he was contradicting me. He was actually talking about the payment. Refugees don't pay for EADs when they arrive. That's taken care of. It's free. And then when you renew it, I don't know what the status is. Probably not, because it can be very expensive. It costs a few $100s for this. That's a big burden on refugees, and that's just stupid. Why would we put that burden on you? So he was explaining that. But no, you're not when you apply. It's when you have. If you have the refugee, if you have the permit, and that's why they picked the 18-month point, because they knew a lot of people are refugees, and after 12 months are going to apply for a green card and get it. So if you apply at 12 months, you get it before the 18 months, you have a green card. You do not need an EAD. A green card has the effect of authorization. It's like UK, leave to remain, which is a stupid phrase, leave to remain. So you have to leave to remain, literally translate, but they mean leave as in permission, as in Erlaubnis, as we say in German. So leave to remain in UK, it's the same sort of thing. Leave to remain means you can legally work in the UK, you can legally live there, and it's for whatever period. And in this case, but many people don't apply for green cards who are refugees. They're not forced to. You're not forced to. Your status is indefinite for refugees. As long as you comply with the rules and adhere to our laws, it's indefinite. So yeah, that's what that was. Well, okay, you're saying it's 12 months. It's only going to get longer too. So then it could be a problem. And that's why I made the video. That is why I made the video. Because I believe, based on the current situation, the current policy, that you're going to have to get another EAD at least once. That's my thoughts on it. But instead, I've been attacked by some slime ball who just went on. That's why I made that video, because I'm just tired of their stupidity. You thought so. It's great news. Well, there you go, Dylan. Okay. Exactly. Applying for a green card and having a card are very different. Exactly. Words matter. And my words were clear. And my words were just clear again. Okay. People need to bear in mind that when you apply for a green card, you don't get instantly. Correct. You don't get instantly. Therefore, you made to apply for... Exactly. Thank you, Nicole Clotti. That's exactly the point I'm making. That's why I made the video. And then this scumbag posts on the thing, and I'll just show you this. and then lies about it and calls and tells me I'm scaring people. I'm not scaring anybody. I'm bringing you facts and information. Very simple. There's no scaring going on here. Why is this not showing? Hang on a second. Refresh. Okay, that's it. Well, where's it at here? Okay, I had this damn thing. Where'd it go? Oh, bull crap. Oh, I know. It's not here. It's because I put it there. Okay, hang on a second. It's over here. I made a thing out of it. That's why. Okay, why is this not updating? Oh my gosh, now we're indexing again. All right. Okay, it's not here. It's under pictures. That's right, under pictures. Okay, hang on a second. There it is. Okay, so let me bring this up. So this is what prompted that, folks. That for most of you haven't seen this video, so you don't even know what we're talking about, but because I just published it a short while ago. But this is in response to the video that I made. Okay, so here you go. So this is a person who has misled people over and over again. So and then lied and claimed that I'm misleading people. So here's what it was. I must point out that this video was made with the intent to scare you about changes U.S. CIS are making to the employment authorization document. How in the world does that person know my intent? Do they have like one of those neural implants that Elon Musk gives you, so they're in my brain? They know my intent. What do you think my intent was? My intent was to inform people of a major change in the program. That's simply it. There was no alarmist in there. If you watch the original video, there's nothing alarmist on it. Professor G says the same thing. He says he's surprised by getting all his emails because the kernel was pretty clear and concise. This person doesn't have a life, and for whatever reason is trying to grift. I don't know why. Grifting my content anyway. So, but the kernel didn't do the math. What math is there, sweetheart? There's no math. The new validity of 18 months that this document is good for has nothing to do with refugees. Oh, but it does. Because after 12 months, you will be a permanent resident and do not need any ID. Don't fall for these scare tactics. Well, first off, you won't have a green card after 12 months. That's bullshit. You won't have a green card after 12 months. You can apply for a green card after 12 months. This is the whole thing. We went back in this whole thing before she lied about this whole thing. You won't have a green card. You could have a green card after that point, but you won't necessarily have one. So this person who is running her mouth in the midst of massive changes in the immigration and refugee and asylum programs, which are creating a backlog. Remember, folks, USCIS now has to review 233,000 refugee cases dating back to the day that Joe Biden became president. Do you know how long it's going to take to review those 233,000 cases? Do you know how long it's going to take to process green card applications now that we have banned 19 countries? They just stopped people from becoming citizens the other day. They're going to have to review their case to see if they're frauds, and then they'll grant their citizenship if they're not frauds. People in Boston, Mayor Michelle Wu, very Irish name, Michelle Wu. Michelle Wu, the mayor of Boston, was freaking out because at the hall there, where they normally do the swearing-in ceremonies, they send them a message, so no swearing in, because you're from one of the 19 countries. You can't become a citizen until we review a case. So, again, this person is running their mouth and don't know what they're talking about. Well, Heidi Kruger, it should, and for especially from someone that's, you don't have to have bona fides. You don't have to have a postgraduate degree. You don't have to be a published author. You don't have to have been an expert in this. You don't have to have done these things. But boy, it sure makes a difference, doesn't it? A layperson can become an expert in something. It's very possible. Margaret Tuchman became a fantastic historian. Didn't have any advanced degrees, never taught at university, but The Guns of August was a seminal work about the First World War. So you can. There are exceptions, but this person is not one of those exceptions. Not one of those exceptions. Sean Nadir, I saw that video. It was, I made some notes on it. So since you brought it up for those who watch it, but I don't recommend watching it. Let me see. Let me see if I can remember my notes here. So she says Afro and Solidarity do not have the influence in the U.S. This is Reedy Talibi in the U.S. that South Africans attribute to them. Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Reedy Talibi. Are you stealing my content? That's what I've said all along. You people that think that in South Africa and you're calling them traitors because they've influenced Trump, they're not influencing Trump. Just like Elon Musk is not influencing Trump. So she admits, Reedy Talibi admits what I've been saying all along. She claims they're exaggerating their influence and they're just stooges. Well, I don't think they're exaggerating their influence. They do have influence, but and they're not stooges. The stooges are people like Reedy Talibi who believe nonsense that makes no sense. And she did accurately point out that there's a hierarchy in the superiority of international affairs, and South Africa ranks very low. But her argument is that all the current tensions, and see, this is where she's dishonest. She was answering the Sunnyside Prowler. She said, Reedy Talibi said that this is all just because of the ICG case. That's why we have these problems. That's not true. It's not true. She's like, well, they never did anything. All these previous administrations, including Trump's, she didn't say that, but including Trump's, didn't do anything to South Africa. You're right. She's 100% correct about it, but she's 100% correct. Her analysis, not about the ICJ case. Not about the ICJ case. No. Anyway, domestic affairs in the USA do affect things. She's right about that, domestic affairs. But she seems to think that the midterms are going to change outcomes. They're not. She says, in America, we've had reversal of DEI. Thank God. That's racist. It's bigoted. It's wrong. The erosion of democratic norms. But there's no examples of erosion of democratic norms. What democratic norms? There's no democratic norms have been eroded. This is nonsense. And then she said that she gave us an example because the recent decision by the Trump administration to change dates where you have free access to national parks, MLK, in the minds of Black Americans. You know, I'm sorry there, sweetheart, but you don't own Martin Luther King Jr. He's an American. We own him. And we celebrate his life and his accomplishments and his approach to reconciliation, which is clearly not in the minds of people in South Africa. And she goes on about, this administration is hostile to Black women. I'm so sick of hearing that. It's always the loudmouth Black women that say that. Average Black women don't say that. The hostility to the LGBTQI community, I don't really care about that. There's no actions they've taken against that community, so that's just hogwash. Those people who have found courage and believe their message will be protected by the Trump administration. So she uses coded language to say those people. What people are you talking about there, sweetheart? What people are you talking about there? Oh, she talked about right-wing sentiments have a short lifespan. Okay. All right. And then she said that South Africans have this perception that they can control the narrative about Trump. Well, you are controlling the narrative about Trump. People actually believe the nonsense in South Africa, and Rita Tlaib believes it, even though she lives in Washington, D.C. But she's not going back. And she made these broad blanket stereotypes and assertions, they, MAGA, 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 as if MAGA is actually something. It's not. It's just an acronym. She says she's also complained vociferously about people claiming that she's a mouthpiece for the ANC. I don't think she's a mouthpiece for the ANC. I think she's just a leftist who doesn't get America and misleads people, and they believe she actually knows what she's talking about. She said it's a lie that I'm an ANC mouthpiece. I don't disagree with her. I don't know that she's an ANC mouthpiece. I said, no, you just falsely claim that you know what you're talking about America. She said Washington's a very small place. No, not really. What she meant by that is that the circles that people move in are very small, but that's not true. That's not remotely true. Not remotely true. I've moved in some big circles in Washington, D.C., and I don't even know most of the circles. It's just crazy. It's a massively big town from an influence standpoint. But her point that she was getting at is that, you can't influence Trump because you can't get in the door. She said a lot of these MAGA Republicans are frustrated because they supported Trump and they can't even get an audience with him. Well, that's no different than Barack Obama. You couldn't get an audience with him unless you were in the inner circle. No difference than you were with Joe Biden. No one could get an audience with him because he wasn't awake. So that's no change. Presidents are guarded and they're protected by a ring fence by their chiefs of staff and people around them, so others don't get to talk to them. So anyway, and she seems to think that this thing with Trump is new. I said it was the same with Biden and Obama. She claims that the MAGA base is splintering over Epstein files in Israel. Not really. My view on President Trump hasn't changed. I'm not a MAGA person. My view on Trump hasn't changed over Epstein. I think it's just a red herring. And Israel? No. America's always supported Israel. I don't have a problem with that. She said there's major problems in America, homelessness and education. She's right. We do have issues in homelessness and education because the Democrats have destroyed education. And they've destroyed, entire states like California by encouraging homelessness. And also the free love and free drugs, which leads to breakdown in families and leads to people who become thieves to feed their drug habit. Yeah, this is all an evil cycle invented by Democrats to undermine the moral sanctity of this country. But they kept making uninformed. So Bianca said that there are these uninformed and unfair attacks in South Africa. Well, they're not uninformed. They're not uninformed. The race laws are there. That's true. Farmers are murdered at an exceedingly high rate per capita. South Africa's reaction. She said that South Africa's reaction to this misinformation about South Africa and the G20 is correct. Don't overreact. But that's exactly what they've done. Every day, endless stories about, in op-eds and news stories, so purported news stories about how America's wrong, and then bold boasts from the likes of Wade Montasha and other people, and Tom Eaton, the columnist, making stupid stuff about the G20 in there. Peter Fabricius even writing about it. Not Peter, excuse me, Peter Bruce. Peter Bruce. Thank you for the 200 Rand super chat there. Appreciate that, LZ. South Africa's not been calm and not overreact. They have, in fact, overreacted the whole time. Even Ramaphosa can't help himself. Ronnie Lamola, stupid comments. She said, let us not forget how we got here. They were not part of it. We cannot allow them to dominate. What she was talking about, Rita Tlaib, is she was being racist there. Yeah, that's a racist comment. Let us not forget how we got here. We being black people, they were not part of it. They being Afrikaners, like they're to blame. We cannot allow them to dominate. Basically, she said, Afrikaners should be ignored. They're of no importance. And that was very, very shameful to hear. I mean, there's only 2 million Tswana in South Africa. They shouldn't be ignored. They have a voice. They have an official language. They're part of South Africa's fabric. There aren't even 2 million Khoisan San, are there? Unless you count coloreds, as some of them calling me Khoisan San. And both. So, look, it was very condescending, very, very, very bigoted what she said there. But most of what she said was pretty good and accurate. But I'm just bringing out the points of contention and disagreement with Rita Tlaib. Yeah, let us not forget how we got here. Well, I'll tell you how you got there. The Cold War ended. That's how you got to where you are now. You didn't get there because black people won their freedom. No black person in South Africa won freedom. The ANC didn't liberate South Africa. That's a fiction. That's pure fiction. I lived through the era, as did many people in this audience. The ANC didn't win any elections. I mean, any freedom, excuse me. They won an election, in 1994. The Democratic Alliance, the National Party capitulated. They capitulate. Their raison d'etre, their reason for existing, the reason for being could no longer be articulated. From the 1970s onwards, South Africa became a police state, essentially. The bannings, no free speech, no life. You had to go to Sun City to enjoy yourself, and the press was pretty much controlled, and people couldn't say what they wanted to say, couldn't associate who they wanted to associate with, and it was a police military state. Understandably so, they were fighting the frontline wars. I'm not the best of my talk. So the whole thing, and basically the presidency and the military and police intelligence controlled that country. The parliament was a rubber stamp. And so that system could only exist as long as there was a red menace, a red threat. As long as you had the menace of communism encroaching, and people didn't need to be convinced of it. They saw what happened in Angola. They saw what happened in Mozambique. They saw what happened in the Congo before that. Cannibalism, eating white nuns, chopping their bodies up, putting them in refrigerators and eating them. The rapes, the murders, the insanity against whites and blacks that took place in the Congo under Patrice Lumumba's idiotic governorship, the brief period he was in charge, and what happened after under Mobutu. So, South Africans didn't have to be convinced, but as long as there was a red threat, the government could continue with its police state. Well, the red threat went away because the United States bankrupted the Soviet Union. We spent them into oblivion by building a 600-ship Navy and re-equipping our army and developing new weapon systems, which were used in the Gulf War and afterwards. So that's why you got to where you are. The ANC didn't win anything. The Black Consciousness Movement didn't change South Africa. The Rivonia trial eviscerated the ANC. They had no influence in the country for 2 decades after that. But they come on Johnny-come-latelys only because of the prominent name of Nelson Mandela, because the Western press propped up his name. No one knew who the hell he was. They knew who Winnie Mandela was. But when he got released, that's when they knew who he was. He's in prison. Most people never heard of him before outside South Africa. Anyway, she said some comments, and I made a comment to myself here, racist much? And then Bianca said the huge amount of people coming back to South Africa. Who are these people coming back to South Africa? Where's the data coming from that she's using to support that? The 82 people leaving per day is information the government of South Africa has provided and the media has covered. That's why I use that data. But I don't know where she's getting her data from. Yeah, also the racist framing of the refugee program. Yeah, that was pretty disgusting. And she said, when white people leave for opportunity, black people are fleeing. In other words, people are saying, when white people leave, it's for opportunity, black people leave, it's for fleeing. I don't say that. I don't say that. Where does she get those silly ideas from? That's a silly notion. Anyway, so that was the one you guys are talking about. So anyway. Okay. So spin doctors, yep. Cock prouders, yep. Congo is crazy. South Africa seems to be going that way, yeah. And Erica would know. She's in both places. 2026 is going to be a year filled with big surprises, hearing all this, praying that they're not all negative. I hear you, Del Marie. Looks like South Africa wants to sign a new bill. Which one? There's a bunch of them, Nadine. So on your other interview, you explained the difference between bigotry and racism. Can you explain it here again? Which interview? Which interview are you talking about? I've explained it many, many times. Prowler's word choice was interesting when she said the lie would make things difficult from farmers. Yeah, well, I watched it. My summary was she is crap. Thank you, Sean Nadir. And enemy, which I can explain it, but I'll explain for folks in a second here. But this is my definition. So, you guys see the latest race law issue? Secondly, government instructs employers to use repealed 1950 legislation. No, I didn't see that. I know they got it classified, but I didn't know that was the basis for it. Yes, the Department of Education did lead to a massive decline. LZ Fondoyan says, thank you for everything you did for Southern 25. You're very welcome. Thank you for the 200 Rand. Appreciate that. Hercules. We got a good turnout here so far, folks. Only 30 minutes into it, already 1,600 people are here. I think it has to do with the white supremacy story. Hang tight. We're going to get to that in just a moment. We're just dealing with all this other stuff first. And I apologize, but it was necessary to explain to people what those videos were about. Keep up the good work. We watch you every day. Try not to miss anything. The number of people that don't comment that they've been writing to me that obviously watch because they are saying things they saw in the video. It's pretty clear there's a big audience out there. I was going to watch it, but saw the Colonel is on. And, okay, cool. Amazing yacht destinations. You like that cap? It's pretty cool. I got a couple. I bought 3 for myself and 1 for my friend who's almost 90. 250 years in the United States, 1776 to 2026. Yep. Hi, Chris. How early in the process may I apply for EAD renewal earliest? I don't know how you can. I don't know the process, and I'm not going to purport to. And the process is probably changing. We just saw it was 5 years. It's been reduced to 18 months, effective 5th December. I don't know. Look, I'm not going to get in the green card discussion because people claim that you have to do it within 12 months, and others say you can only do it in 12 months. I read the law. The law said after 12 months of residence here, you can apply for a green card. That's what I read. So I'm not going to get in that because that's what this lunatic who posted that nonsense attacked me for before, and she was wrong. She claimed I said something I didn't say. So I'm not going to get into that because it'll be used against me. It's not really important, is it now? It doesn't really matter. You have residency as a refugee, and it's indefinite. So you sort the other stuff out when the time comes. Yeah, Armand Albertson says, took 2 years to get a green card. See, I'm not surprised. Been waiting almost a week for the Colonel to mention 25 national security strategy and how it pertains. Well, Holden Caulfield, I did talk about it. I read the damn thing. I don't know how you're waiting. You want me to do a video specifically on it? I can do a video specifically on it. Absolutely. But I already talked about the national security strategy. The night that it came out, I read it on air. I read the whole the whole portion. It isn't very long. If you're still here at the end of this broadcast, you still want me to do it, then I'll go back and read it and I'll analyze it and give you my take on it. And then I read Reddy Talibi's op-ed that appears in Daily Maverick, and she's bitching and moaning about the national security strategy, complaining it's to exploit Africa. I don't get these people, that just don't understand free markets when they live in a free market system. Trump is trying to promote trade with Africa, which is better than dependency. Why do these people from South Africa who come over here and work in the media and government, thank you for the super chat, are they so dependent on the concept of dependency? They want people to be dependent on the government. That's what they want. That's what they want. They want you dependent on the government. No, it's not about aid and giving money for HIV. It's about becoming a powerhouse economic by trading with people, by working deals out with people. Trump gets it, and she just twists the whole thing around. I read that op-ed. It was disgusting. Yep, okay. All right, so let's get back to this now. Okay. Yeah, well, Dylan, it's a good question. Why are they so afraid of such a small minority? Apocalypse Ninja says, morning saw a video about something about new apartheid bill. Do you know anything about it? Yes, I'm going to get to that. We're going to hang tight, folks. Stay tight. Don't go anywhere. We're going to cover that. We're also going to cover Ramaphosa's obsession with, white supremacy. Ironically, coming from a black supremacist party. Can I please contact you privately? Oh, you're talking to Erica. How's Erica going to help you with that? I've already covered that, Cornet, in my video, how it affects refugees. Yeah, they're coming for a holiday break. They're not coming back to live there. Find out why South Africans cannot purchase foreign currency without a plane ticket? No, I wasn't researching it. It was news to me. Priest the refugee applicant's words to our mother on the new BBC documentary. Didn't see that far in it. Okay, it's also the first I've seen that was addressed to the American people. Oh, yeah, the national security strategy. Yeah, your son's here for the holidays, okay? All right, good. We're caught up with that. Now let's get to the news, folks. Thanks for being here. Be sure to hit the like button. Here we go with the news. It's time. I'm old. No, not me. Paul Mashatile. I'm old. That's what Paul Mashatile said earlier. I don't know why. I guess he's pretending he doesn't want to be the president. I'm not available and I'm retiring on a 2027 elective conference. He said he's done. He's not going to do it. Well, let's see if that turns out to be true. ANC's NEC rejects the South African Communist Party's dual membership, and Fikile Mbalula tells the NGC as fate of tripartite alliance hangs the balance. The tripartite alliance is over. The only thing that's sound and healthy is the size of Cyril's waistline. Look at that thing, man. That's getting bigger by the month. I thought I was getting chubby. That dude is really chubby. Ramaphosa's choice. Let's enrich the BE firms or build South African industry. Well, let's build South African industry of electricity and energy. Kojo Senso Ramaphosa is the head of South Africa's most important infrastructure program in decades. But South African firms with majority black ownership stand to lose out in the new BE entrance in a marriage of convenience that is not in the best interest of the economy. How is it not in the best interest of the economy? Who wrote this? Carol Patton? How is it not in the best interest of the economy? Against all evidence from South Africa's homegrown industrial companies, Ramaphosa is intent on doing it his way. The tender design aims to pair big global firms with local BE partners who are not required to have any expertise to be part of the pack. Okay. So she's saying he wants to use BE companies. Well, there you go. That's the problem. So nothing will come of it. Sir Ramaphosa's obsession with white supremacy, another boogeyman they're chasing that has no legs to it. This is gone. White supremacy notions threaten South Africa's sovereignty, he says. And this is a story by Tim Cox, who gets the facts wrong here. Some in our country still adhere to notions of racial superiority and seek to maintain racial privilege, Ramaphosa said, adding that their views conveniently align with wider notions of white supremacy and white victimhood fed by false claims of the persecution of white Afrikaners. Well, first off, there's no false claims. 145 race-based laws. That's all. The argument starts and stops right there. You don't have to go any further. You don't have to go any further. You don't talk about crime and so-called genocide. You just talk right there. Boom. Done. Finished and clear. 145 race-based laws. Why do you need 145 race-based laws? Each one of those is discriminatory against Afrikaners. Why? That's the end of that conversation. So he's full of it. And as far as white supremacy, dude, it's a black supremacist country. It's not a white supremacist country. White supremacists have no power and have no chance of getting in power. It's ridiculous. Yes, they're a childish lot, rabbit hole. I agree. Okay, Thunder Vault Clan. I don't know when you sent that. I was looking through my mail earlier. I don't recall seeing it. So this is the story that you guys want me to talk about now. So this is the bill, and I guess it's getting people's attention now. It came out a few days ago. I mentioned it when it came out, and it was mentioned this morning on the Truth Report. So I had a feeling people wanted to know about it. So I went ahead and pulled it out. So this is from Al Jamaa. Not exactly a reputable source for anything other than chaos, but Al Jamaa issued this. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Okay. So November 11th is when they did the press release, and people just started reporting out the news a few days ago. In the landmark, so that should tell you something right there. They issued this on November 11th. It was only discussed in the news 4 days ago. Almost a month, 3 weeks after they published it. Nobody pays attention to Al Jamaa. That's the bottom line. So November 11th. Historic new bill to criminalize apartheid takes center stage as South Africa leads global fight against racial segregation. In a landmark move echoing the continent's historic struggle for liberation, a new private members bill, the implementation of the International Convention on the Suppression and Punishment of the Crime of Apartheid Bill 2025, is set to be introduced in Parliament. The bill, championed by Al Jamaa political party on behalf of a powerful secretariat of 8 representative political parties, seeks to domesticate the United Nations International Convention on the Suppression and Punishment of the Crime of Apartheid. So separate development is a crime, is it now? Except South Africa's constitution allows for people to develop their separate communities and protect their individual ways. So this is just, it's contradictory. Anyway. This follows a storied legacy where the strong Secretariat of the Liberation Committee, comprising leading African nations, spearheaded the journey of self-determination and freedom for African countries. No. Almost nobody in Africa won their freedom. Almost everybody in Africa was handed their freedom. So that's just a silly thing. Culminating in South Africa's liberation from apartheid in 1994, and of course they spell apartheid with a lowercase, but that's see, this is, you can't take anybody seriously when they can't adhere to grammar. So lowercase apartheid. You see that by my finger? Lowercase apartheid. That means that these are frauds. Anybody that uses lowercase to describe apartheid is a fraud. And I'm not saying apartheid needs to be capitalized because it's great and wonderful. No. But it is a proper name. If you want to attack apartheid, then this is what this bill is doing. You must give it the proper identification in grammar. In English, proper nouns and name persons are Capitalize. Apartheid is a thing. It is an activity that needs to be capitalized. The fact that it's in lowercase shows these people are just frauds. They're just total frauds. Now, a new era of accountability begins. Really, accountability. As if South Africa knows what accountability is. Members of Parliament for Al Jamaa, acting in accordance with Section 73, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution, 1996, intend to introduce the Apartheid Bill in Parliament. 110 states are parties to the International Convention on the Suppression and Punishment of the Crime of Apartheid, the Apartheid Convention, which was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly 30 November 1973. 91 votes in favor, 4 against, Portugal, pre-democratic South Africa, United Kingdom, United States, and 26 abstentions. Came into force on 18 July 1976. The Democratic South African government acceded to the Apartheid Convention in May of 2024. Why did the Democratic government... Oh, now here they use the proper uppercase. You see that? Because here, the Apartheid Convention. The Apartheid Convention is something. Here, they do it. But they treat it as a verb before it. And there's just a thing as apartheiding. It's not a verb. It's not an adjective. Anyway, unless you're discovering the government, then it's the apartheid government. Anyway, so... All right. The draft legislation will create a standalone crime of apartheid, distinct from existing provisions under the implementation of the Rome Statute. Well, it has nothing to do with the Rome Statute. The Rome Statute is about crimes against humanity. It will grant extraterritorial jurisdiction to South African courts to prosecute individuals. It will give South Africa the legal authority to prosecute people who are South African citizens or residing in South Africa or persons present in South Africa for apartheid crimes committed anywhere. So if someone is accused who is a Russian national of committing apartheid in Romania, the South African government is cheeky enough to say that we can arrest you, we can detain you, we can prosecute for a crime that we have no sovereignty or jurisdiction over. This is cheeky beyond belief. Also, this can be perverted to so many ways. Someone decides what is apartheid. Apartheid is separate development. It's not racism. That was glommed on. So, this is stupid. Stupid. It will grant extraterritorial jurisdiction to South African courts to prosecute individuals, South African citizens or residents, or persons present in South Africa for apartheid crimes committed anywhere. So if you committed genocide or an apartheid crime or crime against humanity in Rwanda and you go to South Africa, they are going to arrest you on the authority of committing a crime in a jurisdiction they have no sovereignty over. This is about punishing Jews from South Africa and putting them in prison for serving the IDF. That's what this is about. Yep. Anyway, here are the dirty eight scumbag so-called political parties that are responsible for this. African National Congress, the Economic Freedom Fighters, the Good for Nothing Party, the National Colored Congress, the Bumhurt National Colored Congress, the Pan-African Congress, Rise Mzansi, Mkhonto Sizwe, and Al Jamaa. So there you go. All of the offshoots of the ANC. So that's what that story is all about, folks. That's what that story is all about, in case you're wondering, okay? So there it is. Radical proposal to block vote buying. Well, why would you have vote buying? A radical proposal by ANC Veterans League to reform the way ANC leadership is elected, aimed at preventing vote rigging, which we discussed at ANC National Conference this week. So we all know that that's how Jacob Zuma became president, because he bought the votes. And that's how Ramaphosa became president, because he bought the votes. So that's how he beat out Zuma's ex-wife. So, Paul Mashatile sidesteps questions asked of him in Parliament about Louis Liebenberg and his diamond that his wife got. Deputy President Paul Mashatile refused to answer DA Chief Whip George Michalikis questions about his relationship with alleged fraudster Louis Liebenberg, who gifted his wife a diamond. After Action SA Chief Whip Lorato Nkubani's previous question revealed his travels cost 8 million rand between July and May, Mashatile also refused to answer her follow-up questions about his travel since May 30th. So he just didn't answer people's questions. This is a government that's not accountable to its own parliament, let alone to the people. Well, the Treasury in South Africa has raised over 11 billion rand in a debt bond issuance. National Treasury raised 11.8 billion rand through the South Africa's first infrastructure and development finance bond, which will help pay for national priority projects like water systems, hospitals, and rail lines. Well, good luck with that, because you know what that means? It has to be repaid. But you know what happens when it comes time to repay it? Debt relief. Kojisenso Ramakopa is weighing running for president of the ANC. Given the rogues gallery of who's out there, he might be the best choice, to be honest. Electricity Minister explores joint leadership ticket with Toko Didiza ahead of the 2027 conference. There's a crisis in Catalan. You know, the town that elects convicted pedophile rapist as the mayor. You know that place? Catalan. Yep, Jeffrey Donson. Remember that? Well, Catalan can't pay its bills. It's bankrupt, about to collapse. The Catalan municipality is nearing collapse due to severe financial and operational crises worsened by rising debt, outdated infrastructure, and failing services. By September 30th, the municipality's debt to creditors reached 109.09 million rand, a 32% spike from the previous year. Political instability continues, with ICOSA facing declining support and controversy under Mayor Jeffrey Dodson, convicted of statutory rape in 2008. Well, the rapist is the mayor again. How do you like that? You have a convicted rapist who's the mayor of that town. That's very seemly. That's the one who got caught. Who knows if he did it before? This law is not so much about apartheid, but more about who decides what apartheid is. Correct, Charles. That's what I was saying. It's who decides what that is. I mean, it's a very open, and it's open to subjective interpretation. Are police getting closer to the murderers of Witness D? They're confident they're closing in to find the shooters. Yep, they have found the car that was used by the escaped ones. By the way, on Witness D, somebody sent me a note, and somebody posted something online saying, hey, look, guys, everyone's making out Witness D. Marius found him ever to be a hero. He did some great thing, but the guy worked, not me. This person said, the guy worked for me and no longer works for me, and there's a reason he no longer works for me. He liked to, self-aggrandize and didn't do the right thing until he had no choice. So on that note, what I've said, and I'm clear on this, is that in the end, what he did, his deed was heroic, because he put his life on the line. He could have simply sat up there and refused to answer questions, and he'd probably still be alive today, unless they thought he would become a risk to break down. I never claimed the guy's a hero. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know his life, but I can say that his actions in the end were heroic, but he never should have been put in that position. That night, he should intervene and stop them from murdering that man, or he should have walked away and left the country. So I'm not calling him a hero, but what he did in testifying was heroic. Even rogues can be heroes at times. It's rather worrying, I agree. Surely those 45 wells can be taken to The Hague. That's underway right now. Isn't Lex Libertas doing that? Excuse me. Where am I at here? There we go. Well, here's an effort by a wealthy South African Polish immigrant who wants to force pension funds into putting money into South African startups. Ladies and gentlemen, 90 to 95% of every business fails within the first 12 months. This so-called smart rich person wants to force your pension funds into those sorts of activities. Retirement funds should be required to allocate 0.5 to 1% of their assets under management to venture capital investments, says Singia's billionaire CEO Magda Wiertzkema. Yeah, well, I don't agree with her assessment. If a pension fund wants to do that, it's one thing, but forcing them to do it makes the market unstable in so many ways. Let's not talk about problems that are non-existent. Germans taking up South Africa's exclusion from G20 summit. German ambassador to South Africa Andreas Peschke says Berlin is actively engaging the United States following announcements that the incoming G20 rotational president will bar South Africa representatives from next year's summit in Miami. Well, that ain't going to do any good because Germany doesn't get the time of day here. They don't get the time of day. So, not going to happen. South Africa needs to be at the table, says Germany. Why? We think South Africa needs to be at the table, and we're going to take it up with the incoming presidency. This is about South Africa. We think we ran a very successful presidency this year, but it actually goes beyond South Africa because South Africa is the only African country represented around the table. And so we're talking about a continent of 1.5 billion people. No, you're not. The Democratic Alliance has accused E. Taquini's mayor of cheap politicking over $500 million public works debt. Democratic Alliance in KZN has launched a scathing attack on E. Taquini's mayor, Cyril Saba, accusing him of cheap politicking. We're not America's side hustle, says Fikede Mabalula. So earlier I talked about the comment from Redi Talibi about how reserved and not overreacting the South African government was to the G20 expulsion. No, they're not. They're not reserved. That's just pure nonsense on her part. And she made light of the comment like, well, this is just, regular program will resume. Yeah, that's real funny and condescending. But the reality is these people are yapping like dogs. ANC Secretary General Fikile Mabalula says the United States under Trump is actively trying to isolate South Africa for reasons he describes as imperialist and rooted in misinformation. Do they even know what imperialism is? Do they know what imperialism is? First off, you have to have an empire to be an imperialist. We don't have an empire. We're a democratic country. Second, what imperialist actions? By not giving you money? That's imperialism? By not buying your bullshit about farm attacks? That's imperialism? No. So these people need to go to dictionary and look these words up. That's a word that's a little too big for Fikile to understand and use. It's beyond his comprehension. Well, turning our attention to Cote d'Ivoire, the incumbent leader, Ouattara, who once upon a time seemed like a legitimate Democrat, has turned out to be quite the fascist himself. The incumbent president, Alassane Ouattara, was sworn in for a fourth term after taking over 89% of the vote in an October election marked by low turnout and unrest. This vote is a choice for stability, peace, and development, he said. But 11 people were killed in violence and 1,650 were arrested during the tallies. We're not in the business of telling people how to run their country, Jacob Hellberg, U.S. Secretary of State for Economic Affairs, told Associated Press, adding that ultimately we think Ivory Coast is a politically stable place that's growing quickly. Yeah, I don't know about that. But Ouattara first came to power after winning a disputed election in 2010 against his predecessor, Laurent Gbagbo. Ouattara oversaw a referendum that changed the Constitution in 2016-2020, and he said that the amended Constitution reset this time in office to 0 so he can run again, even though he's not eligible. Thanks. 100 Nigerian students have been freed after the kidnapping at the Catholic school. Security forces credited with recovering students. More than 100 remain missing. That's pretty scary. Japan is threatening U.S. militarily. What? China tells German foreign minister. No, not U.S. Us. The Japanese are threatening the Chinese, according to the Chinese. Japan is threatening China militarily, which is completely unacceptable, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi told his German counterpart after Japan said that Chinese fighter jets had aimed their radar at Japanese military aircraft. Japan is denouncing the encounter as a dangerous act, though China has blamed Japan for sending aircraft to repeatedly approach and disrupt the Chinese Navy. Well, there you go. There you go. Oh, my goodness. Yikes. Zelensky refuses to give up territory. Surprise, surprise, not. He will refusing to bow to Putin or Trump. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said his country would not give up territory under pressure from Moscow or to satisfy Washington's push to resolve peace talks. So there you have it. He exposed once again for the fraud. He won't surrender the predominantly Russian territories, and that's his prerogative. But he can sit here and lie, talking about being a Democrat. He's just been grifting money for years. Well, check this out. Diamonds are not forever, folks. A Canadian diamond mine. Look at that. Oof, it's massive. Massive. After decades of growth driven by diamond mining, Canada's Northwest Territories are facing the closure of 3 major mines and wondering what's next. Canada's Northwest Territories got lucky twice. At the turn of the 20th century, an epic gold rush established the capital Yellowknife and brought development to the vast, sparsely populated region dominated by boreal forest and Arctic tundra. Then 100 years later, just as underground gold reserves in the ground were depleting, prospectors found diamonds. The territories, with a surface area more than 3 times that of California, became the world's 3rd largest exporter of diamonds. Now that area is coming to a messy end. The 3 diamond mines that have brought significant revenues and employment to Northwest Territories, particularly among the indigenous people who became an integral part of the boom, are all planning to permanently close by the end of the decade, with the first one owned by the mining giant Rio Tinto being shuttered this March. Wow. The demise of diamond mining has been hastened by the collapse of demand for natural diamonds because of the availability of cheaper, environmentally friendly, lab-grown ones. So boom to bust. Wow. Former FBI agents are suing the agency for getting fired for kneeling during the George Floyd protests. 13 agents said they made a tactical decision to kneel during the June 4th, 2020 demonstration in hopes of de-escalating confrontation with an angry crowd. Except they weren't. Look at her smiling. And not every officer took a knee. See that? 13 former FBI agents were photographed kneeling in public with protesters in Washington in 2020 have sued the Trump administration, alleging they were improperly fired by FBI Director Kash Patel in September, even though they'd been cleared of any wrongdoing several years earlier. Well, I don't want scumbags like that who betray America for a political black supremacist agenda serving in law enforcement. Jazzy hands. Jazzy Crockett is going to run for a Texas Senate seat being vacated by Republican John Cornyn. Well, good to see John Cornyn go, but we're not going to see Jazzy hands come in there. There are a lot of people that said, you got to stay in the House. We need your voice. We need you here. And I understand. But what I need is for me to have a bigger voice. Nah, listen, sweetheart, your voice is plenty big enough. It's like listening to nails on a chalkboard. Ugh, it's grating. Florida now lists the Muslim group CARE as a terrorist organization. Ooh, Council on American Islamic Relations has responded to the designation, calling it an unconstitutional and defamatory proclamation. Well, it's not unconstitutional. Defamatory? Perhaps, but it's not unconstitutional. Florida's governor has designated the Council on American Islamic Relations a foreign terrorist organization. Ron DeSantis posted his executive order to list the United States-based Muslim civil rights group and advocacy group on social media on Monday. Shame, 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 shame. Sad, 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 sad. So CARE, a terrorist organization in Florida and in Texas. Former Trump personal attorney Alina Habba resigns as New Jersey's U.S. attorney because she was disqualified by a corrupt judge. Her resignation came a week after the Third Circuit Court of Appeals upheld a district court's judge ruling that found her ineligible for the top prosecutor's job because of the circumstances of her appointment as the interim holder of that post. So she's done. Senate Republicans have circulated health care proposals to avert an end-of-year subsidy cliff. Senate Republicans are floating a variety of health care plans to address the year-end expiration of the enhanced Obamacare premium subsidies that's projected to more than double out-of-pocket costs for 22 million Americans. Good luck with that. And this is the story from USCIS, increasing screening and vetting of aliens working in the U.S. So aliens admitted as refugees will get an EAD of 18 months, not 5 years. Police investigation faults Nancy Mace, Republican Congresswoman, for a profanity-laced airport tirade. Report found the Congresswoman turned a minor miscommunication by police into a spectacle. Republican Nancy Mace, Republican South Carolina, berated airport police and Transportation Secretary Administration officers with profanity and demeaning insults during a chaotic airport encounter in October. Well, unacceptable behavior. That is a yellow card, at minimum, probably a red card. Trump dubs Marjorie Taylor Greene a rotten apple. Ooh, getting spicy in D.C. President Trump says Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene is less a Georgia peach and more a rotten apple. The only reason Marjorie Trader Brown, Greene turns brown under stress. Oh my gosh. Trump is going on both barrels, man. He's going both barrels. That's crazy. The only reason Marjorie Trader Brown, Greene turns brown under stress, went bad is that she was jilted by the President of the United States. Certainly not the first time she's been jilted. Too much work, not enough time, and her ideas are now really bad. She sort of reminds me of a rotten apple, he said. Marjorie is not America First or MAGA because nobody could have changed her views so fast, and her new views are those of a very dumb person. Trump is going off on her. She fired back online, posting images that claim Mr. Trump had pocketed $230 million from pro-Israeli groups while she hadn't received a dime. Who cares? I'm America First, she said. Thank you for your attention in this matter. Using one of his catchphrases. For years, she was arguably one of his most loyal allies. But she's pissing in his cornflakes, and that's not going to last much longer. Supreme Court will hear a challenge to campaign finance restrictions. There you go. J.D. Vance brought the lawsuit along with others. Trump says U.S. will allow NVIDIA to get the H200 chip sales, but the U.S. will get 25% of the revenue. President's decision to allow exports of powerful chips comes after meeting with company's chief executive. President Trump said he would let NVIDIA export its H200 chip to China and that the U.S. will receive a 25% cut. Interesting. We'll be paid 25%. Wow. Supreme Court questions a New York ban on religious exemptions for vaccines. Well, that's a step backwards. The U.S. Supreme Court directed the lower court to review the ban, which applies to strict vaccine requirements in New York schools. And Boasberg calls DOJ a whistleblower to testify as he considers contempt charges against Trump officials. That's the judge. Judge James Boasberg demanded the Justice Department send one of its key lawyers to testify in person about why the government made 3 deportation flights to El Salvador in March, despite what the judge thought were clear orders to ground the planes. Well, because you don't have the authority to do that. Mars wins final approval to acquire Kellanova, the Kellogg's product line, in a $36 billion deal. Mars Incorporated, known worldwide for its confectionery products such as Snickers, M&Ms, and Twix, among others, has received approval from the European Commission to acquire Kellanova, known for its Kellogg brand cereals and snacks such as Pringles. There you go. $36 billion deal. It's a big one. Well, Trump is coming for veterans, so says the American Prospect. Sounds to me like a fake news site, but it was in Google News search results. Administration allies falsely allege that many former soldiers are cheating the system. No, it's not administration. It's the Washington Post that's accusing people of that. It was a Republican response to a 4-part series in the Washington Post which accused veterans of bilking the taxpayer out of billions of dollars. Well, very few people are doing that. Very few people. It's nonsense. Data centers in the U.S. could swallow 40 million liters of water per day. That's about 80,000 households, these data centers. That's insane. Here's a photo of the Global Switch Data Center in Sydney, Australia, taken back in May. Oh, that's in Australia. I'm sorry, not in the U.S. So, yeah, it's Australian news. Yep, that's a lot of water for a continent that doesn't have any. The Army has formed a new 4-star command, merging operations in the U.S. Southern Command and U.S. Northern Command into now the Western Hemisphere Command. Last week's activation of the U.S. Army Western Hemisphere Command will unify the domestic response missions currently performed by the Army North and Army South. And the CDC is warning Americans about traveling to 4 countries over chikungunya disease. Telling people not to go to Cuba, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, or Guangdong province in China. So, a travel advisory for Americans. All right, that's the news for today, folks. Takes care of the news. Thanks for being here. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done already. 416 likes. Let's get to 500. 1,300 people tune in. It will stay apartheid's fault. Artificial diamonds are apparently easy to make now. Yep, aluminum was more expensive than gold once, but then they learned how to refine it easily and the price came down. Correct. Don't mind lab grown at all. Can get more carats for less money. Okay. So, Caustic Chameleon has been warning people in his little town in Georgia about the high rise of electricity rates coming up because of these data centers. Yep. Ramaphosa used white supremacy the way the Nats used the SWAT. Exactly right. Thank you for that. You've kind of stolen my thunder there. That's in the video that I'm making. Yep. That's let me remind myself to put that in my video. So, it's the same thing. That's why I've said all along that the ANC and the National Party are 2 sides of the same coin. Same coin. Both have same thing on it. Both leftist parties, and that's what they seek to do. Yep, that's exactly right. Exactly right. My favorite Trump saying is they've been fighting for so long they don't know what the... Yeah, exactly. You know what they're fighting over. Hey, Ian, what's going on? 21,000 died due to apartheid from 1940 to 94, while 426 died this 24 alone. Yeah, but those aren't all murders. 2024. There's been about 700,000 murders over the 31 years. Yeah, it's about time they listed CARE as a terrorist organization. I don't disagree. I think every state should do it. Charles says, people seem to forget that as bad as apartheid was, the amount of people unalived is minuscule compared to... Yeah, that's right. You're welcome, Ronell. All right, guys. Hit the like button if you don't mind. We did a song yesterday, and we played it, and it was pretty going. Yeah, so today's Tuesday. Tomorrow, my news comes early. Excuse me. And then Thursday, I got another refugee on the program. Another FD on the program. This one lives up in Massachusetts. So another FD interview coming on Thursday. Friday, I'll do an early stream, and then I got to hit the road for my trip. Dusted, sir. In the end, it was no big deal. Actually, a funny story. Well, Loretta, feel free to share that with me in private if you like. Can we do Tuesday collabs with Lily? Collabs. I don't know. Does she want to do that? I did like the when the two ladies asked to interview me that day when I had them on my show. I host them and they were asking me questions. That was kind of fun. But the one had a bad connection, so it was just the one lady in the end. But I suppose we could do something like that. It'd be good. Thanks for keeping these factual and all the information. You're welcome, Curiosity Nuggets. Yeah, 27,000 murders last year. There are FGs in New York, yes, but not New York City, upstate New York. Yep. Oh, the chocolates. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I always forget. No, not in Boston, to my knowledge, but in Massachusetts. I know where they're at in Massachusetts. So, unless someone else. Kinder Chocolata. Today is the 9th. So, here we go. The 9th is up here. Little squirrel. Another heart. I don't like this Kinder Chocolata one so much. Then we got this one here. Let's see. 21, 17, 18... 19, 16, where the hell's it's 4. Where's 9 at? 22. There it is, right in the middle. Couldn't read the number, it was on that window. So there's number 9 for today. That is a candle with 2 wheat stalks next to it. Strange. And this one here. This should be easier to see. Here it is up here at 9. See, a lot easier because of the blue. And that one is a little gingerbread house. $16 days. Oh, Marie, it's work related. It's work related. You can ask about it. No, the problem with doing anonymous refugee interviews is then people try to discredit it. It's okay to do an occasional one. That's right. Haribo macht Kinderfroh und Chris ebenso. I've researched about the South African rand. The dollar question is untrue that you need a ticket. Well, that's what I thought, Smiley. People told me that was the case, and I said that seems implausible. If you are driving across the border, how do you need a plane ticket to get to Botswana to get Pula? It doesn't make sense. Also, gosh, I always forget the name of that place. What's the name of it? They have a big car dealership in South Africa, but they're also a banking and service. Gosh, currency exchange. What's their name? I forget their name now. I used to have a card from them. Bidvest, yeah. Bidvest has, it came to me. So Bidvest, you go get currency from Bidvest. I did it in Botswana. I had a rand-denominated card, which sucked. At the embassy, I had to get paid in dollars. I went to the cage, wrote a check, got dollars, which they converted to Pula. So I lost a little bit there. Not much, though, because it was a good bank rate, because central bank, so you get it. It took that. Then I took the dollars, took the Pula over, gave them Pula to put money on my credit card so I could pay for my petrol in South Africa because it was a debit card. Ugh. Yep. Yes, Anti-Fly, I got the chocolates now. Thank you. What do you know here about Somali Story? Well, I've talked about Somali Story, and I've seen Ilhan Omar's response to it, and she's just a nasty, nasty human being. And all those videos say on UCT, I've been trying to validate his information, but I can't find it anywhere. I think he's being misled somewhere. I don't know. What, Chris Myberg, what did he say about UCT? What did he say? Date change. Okay, Len, got it. You guys pointed out, I got it. Yeah, I don't know about the UCT story. I didn't see Ronaldo's thing. I asked this earlier, but you moved into the news. Do you think there's merit to the claims that groups like AFROM are now meeting with ANC for what essentially sounds like damage control? Yeah, that's something that Redi Talibi claims. I have no evidence that. I can ask them. I know the people, senior people in Solidarity Movement and AfriForum. I know them very well. In fact, I wrote to colleague Creel earlier about something. See if he responded yet. And also to someone over at the other, also, he hasn't responded. I also wrote to Ernst Ritz at Lex Libertas about my travel on Friday. ANC conference operating address in African country places. I don't know, Lon, if I can do that. InvestTech also, yep, exchange with dollar, but not sure if the plane ticket. Yeah, I never heard of this plane ticket thing, so. I have some savings on PayPal. Do I have to declare it? No. It's you don't have to declare anything, Jeannie. No, not in PayPal. No, you're not transporting money. It's in your PayPal account. Now, I don't know if you have a PayPal account in Rand or you have a PayPal account in dollars. My PayPal account is dollars. So, breaking news, only Zimbabweans, Mozambicans, Somalis, Ethiopians, Iranians allowed to vote. Funny, Michael Marks. Yes, but the policy he was analyzing is nowhere on the UC website. But I don't know what the policy was. I don't know what's going on. PayPal is a way to do it. The problem with PayPal, though, is that they take a percentage, but it's only around 2 or 3%. I think 2.9%. So it's not too bad. It's like an ATM fee, but Western Union MoneyGram can take a fortune. So you have to show a ticket. Go and check the bank websites, please. Well, that's what Joe Texas is saying. But you're in Texas, Joe. How do you know? Things change. Were you just there? I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying. How do you know? Pig crusade in Texas. What is this, Richard? What is a pig crusade? Yeah, no. If you have a PayPal account and you want to send me a super chat so that YouTube doesn't get 30% of it, you can do that. I mean, we've covered that before. So let me see if I can find this here real quick. It's here somewhere. I got so many things in here. Oh, maybe it's not here. It was there before. I found it before. Oh, that's why I probably never put it up, because I don't think about it. I don't see it. I do not see it. Anyway, it's not important. I should have been right in there. What the hell's it at? There it is. Found it finally. There you go. And, thank you, David Frey. 9 months. It's awesome, man. Noted that she said he must have sources that have disclosed that he wouldn't risk his reputation reporting. And it wouldn't surprise me if the university goes woke. Yeah, well, they are woke already. Also, do you suggest we take a small amount of cash? Yeah, you should take a small amount of cash if you've got dollars, take it. If you got some dollars, take them with you. Yeah, not a lot, but I mean, having cash on hand. I mean, because let me put this in perspective. Okay, here's your deal. Okay, guys, you are going to be stressed out. If you've got kids, you're going to be stressed out even more. If you've got an infant, you're really going to be stressed out. If you got elderly parents with you, you're going to be stressed out. So you're going to be tired. You're going to get on a plane, constantly worrying about, do I have all my documents, my folder with my form, I-94, whatever, 594. Do I have my passport, everything? Here are my kids. Okay. You're going to be worried about all that. So that's going to wear you down. You're going to get on a plane. You're going to fly for 15 and a half to 17 hours, depending on the winds, to Atlanta. Or you're going to fly to Newark, which is about the same time. You're going to fly. All right. Long trip in economy seats. Yeah. And so you're going to land. Then you're going to have to go through immigration. That's not a pleasant experience for anybody, not just foreigners, but for Americans. The immigration is not a pleasant experience. Then you're going to go through that. Then you're going to collect your bags. And then you're going to have to take them to a place and recheck them, unless you're one of the pilot project where you don't have to recheck bags, which is recent. That happened to me on my last trip back. I didn't have to check my bag. They said it was good to go. That hasn't happened in 35 years. Anyway, so then you are going to sit and wait for a flight. You're going to get on your plane. You're going to fly somewhere else, like Oregon or California or Iowa, Colorado, Maine, Pennsylvania. You're going to fly somewhere else. You're going to be knackered. You're going to arrive there. It's going to be 2 days of travel. You're going to be knackered. And you're also going to be 7 hours ahead. So when Americans are sleeping at 2 a.m., you're going to be like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed because it's 9 a.m. for you until you adjust to that. So you're going to get there. The refugee agent's going to meet you at the airport. They're going to take you to your temporary lodging, either a bed and breakfast, a hotel, or a place you're already going to be into. And then you're going to get there and you're going to want something. There may be food. They'll probably have food in the pantry and the fridge for you, stocked it when you get there. But it isn't going to be South African brands, and it isn't going to be something you necessarily want. So you're going to want something, you know. You might want to buy something at the airport. I wouldn't recommend it. It's expensive. But my point is that having a little bit of cash on hand is a good idea, if you've got it. JS says, I do agree with their assessment that lobbying might have had unintended results, i.e. the cancellation of GOA. Not saying that's directly their fault. No, I'm going to contradict that completely right now. Let me explain why I'm going to contradict that to you, Jay. Not to be combative with you, but AGOA has nothing to do with South Africa. See, this obsession, this navel gazing, AGOA, Trump punished us. That's horseshit. That's just total nonsense. That comes from a position of people not knowing what AGOA is. AGOA is a public law. It's not for South Africa. It's for the continent of Africa. Africa Growth Opportunity, not the South Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, but Africa. AGOA has to be renewed every 5 years. The law is only valid for 5 years. The law expired on 30 September this year. The law had a sponsor in the Senate to renew it. Could have been the House, could have been the Senate. And I think it was Chris Coonswell, the guy from Delaware. And that bill went nowhere under the Biden regime. Nobody in the Biden regime wanted to renew AGOA. They've tired of being screwed over by these African countries to charge all this stuff on us while we give them free access. So it went nowhere. It didn't get out of committee. It's still in committee. Never left there. Nothing's going to happen. Didn't get on the floor. So AGOA has nothing to do with it. AfriForum and Solidarity had nothing to do with AGOA. They had nothing to do with it. Saving AGOA, with getting rid of it, had nothing to do with it. I guarantee that's the case. It's gone. They had nothing to do with it. So blaming them for it is just silly. It's also uninformed. For refugee leader, I want to introduce you when the aliens come. Take me to your leader. Yeah, no. Jay, it had nothing to do with those guys. AGOA was dead before they ever went to the States. Not putting on weight yet, or having sugar issues with all the chocolates. Or, no, I'm not putting any weight on, Del Marie. You would think maybe I'd lose weight because I'm not drinking these lovely Starbucks. I think it's still nice and cold. Man, wow, I held it cold for over an hour. That's pretty good. Yeah, so no, that's just nonsense. See, this is people are attributing things. I have hit without having been in the meetings. I'm pretty damn sure that my analysis of their impact and what they've done has been the most accurate, because they're going to tell you what they believe, and and I'm not saying anything bad things about it, but it's going to tend to be self-serving. I have no dog in the fight, and I also know how the process works and the players involved, and I can see the outcome. So, right, they did try to salvage the relationship. They begged that we renew AGOA. They begged that we not punish South Africans with sanctions. So yeah, but the leftists, the ANC, are trying to turn this on its ear and blame these people for things they had nothing to do with. The people responsible for tariffs in South Africa are South Africa, the ANC, the government, Ronald Lamola, John Steenhuisen, Parks Tao. Those are the people directly responsible for these tariffs. And John Steenhuisen running around and calling Trump names is not helping. Just drink the Starbucks. You give me anxiety. Is Arctic here? Is Arctic here? 495 likes. Come on, guys. Hit that like button. Only a couple more. Dead. Bring out your dead. Well, I'm not dead. Shh. Yes, you are. Dead. Bring out your dead. I'm feeling much better. No, you're not. Monty Python. I'm feeling much better. Gonna get my beer and the fluffy white stuff and check on my front door, but not because I heard a sound. Huh? Kathy says, don't drink it. Pour whiskey in Starbucks and Arctic won't mind. Yeah, exactly. If I put whiskey in there, then it's an Irish coffee, right? Hey, Christopher Dupoy, what's up? Yes, they did try to salvage a relationship, whereas the ANC's trying to savage a relationship. Yeah, it's comical. Who calls us for a second interview? I forgot to ask during my first interview. Can someone please clarify? You'll be called, student. Relax. And it doesn't matter, second interview. People keep worrying about the number of interviews, the sequence they're in. You just report for where they need you to tell you to go. Hopefully they tell you the right place, the right time. And don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Seattle coffee's better than Starbucks. Maddie, if you say so. I don't drink coffee, so I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. You're welcome, student. Yeah, don't worry about it. And Vanessa just said Kenya, but that isn't the case always. All right, they get the sequence screwed up at times, so don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. The good news is if you're getting called for an appointment, you have an interview. That means you're in the process. So that's the most important thing, is that you're in the process. Yep. Erica says, please smash the like button. Now, Erica's using all caps. Look at that. My brother does woodwork stuff. He wishes to make me something personal. There is a regulation bringing foodstuffs and agricultural goods in, but wood, no, I don't think there's any limitation whatsoever. Student gave a 35 Rand super chat. Thank you so much for that. Clouds are gathering. What about Philly? What's going on here? Got Timmy's? What is Timmy's? Tim Hortons? Drink it, drink it. I can't drink it if Arctic's not here. I bet he's going to stay quiet just so I don't drink this stuff. Wouldn't that be funny? Alrighty, folks. Yeah, so... yeah. Oh, by the way, Gemini wasn't working earlier. I had to use Grok GPT to make my image. That kind of sucked. And then I wound up not using image because it wasn't as good enough. Diehard DA member gave me a lift today and gave me the fee to become a DA member in support for our peer counselor. She's great, but voice my feelings, reference John, and she says Steenhuisen will soon be out. Well, I think Steenhuisen will be out soon. Yeah. He's a major liability for that party. All right, Janine says, I know this is probably stupid, but I've never been out of the country. Is it true that you're not allowed to take water or food on a plane? You can take food on, but you can't go in the airport with that stuff. I mean, you can take the food, but you can't take liquids. But that's also been modified recently after 25 years. That's just been modified, 24 years. So when I got on in London on my connecting flight to come home, or not connecting, my flight to come home, I could take water, and you could take up to, I think it was a liter. You could take a couple or half liter, something like that. I don't remember, but that was a new thing. So they had these sensors so they could detect it better, and you could take. So I'm standing there like most people outside by the trash can, ready to go through security, drinking Starbucks. One of these had 2 bottles of these, drank those down, like all caffeinated and sugar hyped up, and drank a bunch of water. And then this guy there, I don't know where he's from, somewhere in Africa, he was working at the airport. He's telling people, oh, you don't have to throw your water away, your drinks, you can take them with you, as long as they're not alcohol, just go through. Like, what? Yeah, that was new. Yeah, so that's a new change. But no, generally speaking, you can't take liquids on. You're going to take like, what, 300 or 500 milliliters, something like that. No, whatever, a couple hundred milliliters. Yeah, but you can take food. But, you got to be careful about what you're taking on there. So now when you arrive, if you got biltong or Duruvos, you're not allowed to bring it in the country because that's an agricultural product. That being said, let's just say I've had Duruvos in the house and they weren't made here in the States. Riffs, I didn't know you couldn't take it. Riffs Hard gave 140 Rand super chat. Thank you for that. DA doesn't exist anymore. They're now forever be known as ANC Light. Whatever you do, don't take fruit into Australia. Even the airplane hostess gives it to you. Do not take it. They'll hit you with a hefty fine. Yeah, well, this isn't Australia, but you can't even. When you go into New Zealand, they want to inspect your boots. They're looking for seeds and stuff. They're really strict about that. I had a brand new pair of hiking boots I bought just for the trip to go for the Rugby World Cup in 2011. I landed in Auckland, and when I came out, they said, "Do you have any other shoes?" Because I was wearing a pair, and they checked them. And I said, "Well, I have a new pair inside the suitcase." And they said, Oh, they pulled them out and I looked at them all over. I mean, there wasn't any dirt on them. They're brand new, out of the box. That fresh smell. I'm like, what are they doing? And so they went and tested them. You can see it's brand new. It's never touched the ground. Yeah, it was a pain. Yeah, box cutters are frowned upon. So are handguns, or explosive devices. Yeah, you really can't take those. It's 100 milliliters. That's what it was. Thanks, Sandra. But that's changing. That's changing. Not everywhere. It changed from UK to here. Christopher DePoy gave 35 Rand super chat. Thank you so much. Amazing how many refugees have so much cash that they're stressing about money limits or pets that can take shoes. Like that's your big worry. No, virtual Western Cape, that's not the big worry, but people have those assets. And again, this is not an economic refugee program. So if you think only poor people should be coming here, you got to get your heads on straight. It's for people suffering from unjust racial persecution, and that includes rich people. Or exploding shoes. That's correct. Hold. Scrub my hype boots when I went to Australia. Exactly. It's crazy, isn't it, Erica? Oh, my goodness. It's crazy. Yeah, I never left the airport in Australia, although that will be happening at some point. So, by the way, they have the sevens in New York, but I didn't buy tickets in March because I'm like, I don't want to sit in Harrison, New Jersey and freeze my butt off in March to watch 8 teams play sevens. Saw a video where the hostess gives people fruit just as they leave the plane. The authorities then fine the arrivals. I don't know, Daniel. That sounds like Australia. Bill tongue and dwarf won't survive the length of the flight. Oh, mine do, Janine, because I get 5 kgs off them. People give me that stuff all the time. Learned that you have to call a concertina an accordion if you take it on the plane. Otherwise, they get all worried. Well, yeah, because we have concertina wire, and we don't. It's not a word we use. Concertina for us is razor wire. Yeah, but razor wire is not razor wire. There's razor wire, there's barbed wire, and there's concertina. Concertina is a very specific type of the wire. It's the worst one. It's got the points on four corners, have sharp edges, whereas barbed wire just has little twisted things on it, and then razor wire is very different altogether. Caviar. Who's got caviar, man? Okay, it's disgusting. You ever had caviar? Ooh, it's gross. Sturgeon. Thank you all for the super chats that are coming. I do appreciate it, and we've got a decent sized audience. To learn that you have to call. Oh, very good. Saw an interview today about the danger Zamas caused by taking radioactive beams from old mines to scrapyards. Wow. Well explained on the wire, just as I understand it. Okay. And there's 100 Rand. Thank you, Miss VO73. Evening to my favorite. Oh, it's nice to be your favorite. It's very kind of you. Very kind of you. Sit next to... Oh, you're sitting next to him. You want caviar. I thought you liked sitting next to him now. I'm like, what? Okay. Will you be buying property in New York when the property goes, let's say, after my dummy takes off? Nope. Nope. New York is gone. Not interested. Okay. It might just add some off topic. People should at least get long johns if they're coming over. That alone would help a ton. Well, France free. I mean, I suppose if you can't handle the cold, but why you just buy them here, or unless you can get them. That's probably something you should get there. For instance, I was in LL Bean and I was at Sticker Shock at what they're charging. I go to Cape Union Mart and I get the same things for a third the price. The same things, except for some of the major brands. You can't get those cheaper. Cannot wait for crab season again. Would love to share a meal with you. That'd be great, O'Neill. My mate gave all his bill tongue to the beagle sniff. Oh my goodness, that's funny. That's funny. All right. Okay, guys, I hate to break you from here, but I need to take a little rest stop here and get ready for tonight. I've got some errands to run. But, I mean, I've been up since I went to bed at about 3 and got up at 4:30, so I'm a little knackered now after Walmart was a bit disappointing. Yeah, and you're here too now, huh? Oh, okay, all these people are over here now. At least you're still watching my show. That's good. Even if people aren't coming on the program for interviews, you're watching the show. That's the most important thing. About your comment this morning regarding U.S. CIS agents, they are really well trained, extremely clever how they ask questions. Yes, they are, Philip. I know. They ask me questions too. I have to go through the same thing you go through. You're welcome, guys. Okay, take care. Be sure to hit the like button. And thanks for the super chat revenue. Feel free to put more in there if you want. And I will be on later tonight. I may for the late night, for the night owls. But anyway, the Friday thing, it'll be an earlier broadcast because I've got to go on the road. It's going to be a bit of a drive. All right. Oh, maybe you're talking about Walmart South Africa's disappointment. Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just another game with blue and yellow instead of the pink and black. All right, guys. Take care. Be well. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.